What's up, guys? This is Sunny. Um, all right, all right. So after taking that big loss, my leg hurts. That day yesterday, trading PPSI and mainly naked, and not realizing how dumb of a mistake that was. I didn't even realize. I mean, I knew the flow, but I don't know. It must have slipped my mind or something. Um, but after that, I was determined to make that money back. And while I was trading, my performance was being influenced by that loss. And I was like, okay, I want to make back all that I lost and more, which is the wrong mindset. Um, but coming into today, um, um, you know, uh, Tim Bowen on his morning prep was talking about it. Matt Monaco was talking about RNXT. Um, Tim Bowen, he was saying something, but I couldn't really understand what he meant by it. But Matt Monaco, um, I think he didn't like it and didn't expect it to go up, but he eventually got in and longed it, and then he made like 4 grand or something like that on it. I don't remember, but I can't remember why this was up. It's like I know in the moment why this stock went up, but after that I forgot. I forget. Um, yeah. So okay, I remember when I was looking at the stock, I didn't know why it was going up. But I couldn't. Uh, uh, Tim Bowen said it had something to do with cancer, but I didn't know what. But when I looked at the flow in the SEC filings, I looked at the flow. It said 1.66 million, so I was like, "Yo, this is definitely gonna skyrocket." But um, Bowen or Matt said, it was 6 million flow. Nothing's really ever accurate, but that's what they said, and this is what I'm seeing. But I knew it had an offering, but I'm like, okay, they must have dumped shares back in August, end of August. So looking at the chart, end of August, uh, it's a recent IPO, which I didn't like honestly, and I wasn't really comfortable with trading it. But because the float was so low, I'm like, this has to go up. But this is their recent IPO. Um, I mean, this is a recent 424B where they're gonna dump shares, and it's a recent IPO, so they dump shares here. Um, Probably dump some more here because they didn't make another offering, or they probably did. They probably still have more shares. That's why they dumped it here. But they dumped it here, and then towards the end of um, August, they dumped some more, and then maybe they just had a lot left over, or they probably did something that I wasn't aware of, and dumped more shares. And you see a S8 where they're in preparation for to dump more shares again. So you don't know what the fuck this company's doing, but you know they're dumping shares. So long-term investment, not a good idea. Um, but the float was low. They had an offering, which wasn't good. Which I didn't like, but the float was so low. It looked like a really good opportunity for me, um, or to me actually. Uh, so um, So I was watching a pre-market. Honestly, I was tempted to get into it. And I can see support here. And I was tempted to get into it here, but I'm like, I'm gonna be patient. I'm gonna wait for the 945 dip and rip. Yesterday, I didn't wait, and of course, the stock never bounced, and I got clobbered. But not only that, I want to be more patient. This is not a strategy that I know, so let's be patient. So, um, when I saw it, um, it was up, it was trending. It was like before market open, it had a little minor drop right here. You see in this candlestick, and I'm watching it very closely. I'm literally watching it with like my eyes glued onto it, and excuse me, excuse me. When market opened, it perked up. Then it came back crashing down, and I wasn't sure what the hell it was gonna do. But the way it was trending, I'm like, I don't know what it's gonna do. So I threw a little bit in, and I bought 500 shares. I'm like, okay, if it breaks the lower day right here, um, I'm in with just 500. I can add. I think I was only my entry was let's see what my entry, the amount of money that I put in was probably like 4 grand or some shit. So my entry was um 918. So 9.18 times 500. I was put like 4.5 grand, 6 grand, or 4.6 grand. So uh, I went in small, and I'm like, okay, if it drops, I'm gonna add, and then see if it's gonna spike. But I'm like telling myself either this is a 1.6 float, 1.6 million float, or this is a 6 million float. And I don't think these really low floats are gonna have a morning panic and then bounce. There was no shares available to short, so I'm like, yes, this is no shares available to short on my broker, but there's so many other brokers. There might be shares available there, but I wasn't sure, so that's why I threw in the 500 shares. And then when I saw it wasn't gonna go down, I started adding some more, and I bought another 500 here, and then I put in 1,000 or something like that, and I was like 1,500 shares in, and it was just going up, going up, going up. And Matt Monaco, his live small cap recap was going on, and um, he was saying that it's gonna get halted, blah blah blah, and he was right. It did get halted right here. Um, but in the moment, I really didn't want him influencing my trade because I'm like, okay, I understand you're much more skillful and experienced than I am, but um, I can't allow you to influence my trading while I'm trading. But he was talking, and I was just listening, and he was saying, okay, this is gonna get halted, blah blah blah. And he traded it, he longed it, and he made some money, but um, he didn't like it, I think, or he didn't like the way it was trending, and I didn't like the way it was trending either because I could tell it was getting sold into. But I did my very best not to allow him to influence my trading, and I just watched it like a hawk. And I told myself, okay, I'm in this trade. I'm up a good amount. I can't remember. I don't know how much I was up at this point. I was up a good amount. He had sold by then. He sold here, and I was up probably over $1, and he sold by the time he was saying he's like, man, this stock is gonna get halted. It's gonna pull back and panic. And I'm watching it. I'm like, um, this stock, it looks like it wants to go up, but every time it goes up, it gets pushed back down, just like PPSI. Um, and what happened? You can see the doji candlesticks all here is getting sold into. And I honestly, patience got the best of me. And luckily, I was on the right side of patience because it was pushing and it was pushing. And I'm up like, I think maybe, I don't know, maybe 700 to $1,500. Yeah, it was like $1,500. And honestly, I wanted to take it, but I didn't because I'm like, man, I feel like this is going to go up some more. Plus, I was being influenced by the loss that I had the previous day, where I lost 3.5 grand, and I was like, man, I want to make all that back and more. And honestly, it did influence me. I'm not gonna lie. And I was just holding and holding and waiting. Then it was just like uptrending and consolidating right here. But Monaco was saying, "Oh, it's holding really well. It's holding really well." I'm shocked, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm seeing that too." But I'm like, "Yo, don't influence me." But of course, I'm listening to him. I'm watching him trade live, and I'm listening to him, and I'm watching the market. But I got to make sure I don't allow him to influence me. And it's holding really well for real, but I can see it's getting sold into. So I'm like, man, okay, Sonny, let's be realistic. If this comes crashing down, you either gonna take a small gain or break even, and you're not disciplined enough to you're not disciplined enough to take a small gain after being up 1,500 to take a $300 to $500 gain or even less than that. And I'm like, man, I have two options here. I could either hold and see if it's gonna go any higher, or if it drops, I just get out or take a bigger loss or lose more for the day, for the week. And I was like, you know what? I won't say I believe, but it looks to me like it's gonna continue uptrending. And I added right here another 500. I think I wanted to do more, maybe not, but I added 500 here. I think my total was 2,000 on the 2,000 shares or 2,500 shares for the day. And I just sat and I waited. I sat and I just waited. And next thing you know, it just squeezed. And once it broke this point, and hold on, once it once it broke this point, I was like, okay, I don't need to sell here because if it broke this high a day, it's gonna keep pushing up. Then um, it started breaking the pre-market levels, um, and it broke this pre-market level. And I'm like, if it can break the 1115, which is somewhere here, I was looking for 1115. Yeah, right here. I said if it can break 1115, I think we can probably see a really good uptrend and probably break past pre-market high a day. And that was my thesis on it. And when it broke here, I was tempted to sell, but I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to sell. Yes, no breakout is perfect, but it's squeezing. It's not just a breakout. I can clearly see it's getting squeezed. So if it's gonna squeeze, let it run and then sell. So it started squeezing, and I saw my profits go from I don't know to I don't know. And by the time I sold right here, um, I was so like emotionally taken that I was like, yo, I don't know how far this is gonna go, but I want to take these gains. And I sold. I was trying to get the when it was pushing up here, I was trying to get a 4,000 plus gain, but it kept going up and down, and I just entered my order at 1161, and it got executed, and I made 3,930, I think, for the day, and I was just flabbergasted. um, and I don't even use these kind of words. I'm just trying to sound smart, but I was shocked like a motherfucker, and I was really happy, and but I was trying to regulate my emotions. Um, but I said, man, I'm not touching this at all. I took a step back. I walked away. I said, man, I'm not touching this no more. I'm like, if I touch this, I might lose a lot of money. And I came back and I watched it, and I'm watching it for a few minutes. I'm like, this looks like it's gonna go up a little bit more. So I'm like, you know what? The smartest thing to do is not to go back in full size, of course, but really to go into really small size. Um, so I wanted to go in with 1,000, but I thought to myself, I'm like, okay, if it breaks this low right here, um, the low was 1060, and I got in at 1130, or call it 1140. That's a 80 cent difference. If I get in with 1,000 shares, that's $100 uh, per 10 cent, which is 80 cent difference if it breaks $800 difference if it breaks this low. And I thought about it. And I'm like, I don't want to risk $800 on a really successful trade. I said I'd rather risk 500, which is $50 per 10 cent. If this goes against me, I'm only losing 400, and I'm okay with that. So, well, I'm not okay with that, and I really don't want to lose that much, but that's much better um, than losing 800. 800 is just way too much. 400 is way too much too. But I'm up on this trade. I'm willing to possibly give some back to see if it will uptrend some more. So I longed it with 500 shares. It was consolidating, just trying to build up. But it was staying up. It was holding up well, just like it was holding up well here. And then it perked up again, and it was holding up well over here. But I'm like, this little perk up, and it passed here, this point right here. It wasn't much of a difference. I'm like, what's going on here? And it just dumped right here. It just dumped, and I was just like, fuck. But I'm like, I'm about to sell my position. But I'm like, it didn't even break this support. I'm like, what? Let's see what I can do. But I had my finger on the trigger button. And I'm just like, man, I'm gonna lose 400. I'm okay with that. I'd rather walk away with all the money that I lost yesterday than to be walking away with less or whatever. I was happy that I made that much money back. Then I gave it some more time. I honestly wanted to get over. Um, I wanted to get close to 5,000 because I wanted to see myself go over my target that I've been working on to get to double my account, that I can have my own money for trading and pay my investor back. Uh, but um, I longed it, and it started uptrending, and it squeezed right here, and it was consolidating, and I'm just like trying to get out. And each candlestick here, I'm telling myself, get out, Sonny, get out, get out, get out. And I'm trying to see if it's gonna push any higher. And at this last moment, I said, bro, this is your last chance to get out. Get the fuck out. You're already up a lot. You're already up a lot, and this small trade right here, you're up another. I think I was up another 4 to 500, and I just clicked it. I used all the strength in me to force myself to click it because I'm struggling with discipline, and I'm struggling with dealing with my emotions. And I got out, and literally like a minute after, it just tanked right here, and I was just like, wow, I got really really lucky. And I'm like, I wonder what it's gonna do for the rest of the day. I don't know if it's gonna keep going up. And then after that, it consolidated, tanked again, got halted, and I was like, I am done with this stock. And I was like, I'm done with this stock. And I was watching it all throughout the day. I'm thinking maybe it was gonna do the same thing as the PPSI did, where it consolidated the rest of the day and then perked up, which it did, but it perked up only to fail again and fell some more. So let me zoom out here. Um, it perked up only to fail again and fell some more. um, which I was glad that I was able to walk away with um, 4,300 and some change. Um, I transferred all the money out of my account, and I will be paying my investor. Um, and I'm really happy. But today's a new day. Um, uh, um, Today's a new day in the market. Kind of want to take a break tonight or today. I've been very busy. I feel like my head is I'm just losing myself. But um, I got a visitor coming, so I got to really clean the house. Um, I got to clean the house, and I got to catch up with my homework. But um, other than that, it was a really successful trade. I really want to work on getting better, but I'm liking this uh, going long because these squeezes, man, it will make you a lot of money real quick. So um, I'm not saying going long is my new strategy because I do love short selling, but um, I want to I want to I wanna keep trying keep going along because it's really it's really been doing me some good. But um, I don't I don't want to stop shorting because I really enjoy it and I think I'm really good at it. But now I am only above PDT by like a couple $100, and God forbid I go under PDT, I would just take a break for a while because I accomplished my goal. Yes, there's many opportunities, but I know I need a break. Plus, um, uh, I want some time off. So we're going into the holidays. It's the best time to trade, but it's also the busiest time for me. So I gotta be very careful.